The wedding guests stopped smiling the moment the long black limousine rolled up to the entrance. For a few seconds, the music seemed quieter, the laughter faded, and dozens of curious eyes turned toward the luxury vehicle that had no business being at an event meant to celebrate wealth, status, and appearances. No one expected the person stepping out of that limousine to be the woman everyone had spent years pitying. Before we begin, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances can change a person's life. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this one to the world. The bright afternoon sun reflected off the polished windows of the grand countryside venue where Rowan Hale was about to marry a successful social media influencer named Cassandra Voss. The wedding was extravagant, exactly the kind of celebration Rowan had always dreamed of after leaving behind what he called his ordinary life. 5 years earlier, Rowan had walked away from his wife, Marisol Hart. At the time, they were struggling financially. Medical bills had piled up, debts had grown, and their small apartment felt increasingly crowded. Rowan blamed Marisol for everything. He convinced himself that she was holding him back from success. When he finally left, he did it with shocking cruelty. He abandoned Marisol during the hardest period of her life. Worse, he ignored the fact that she was pregnant. The pregnancy had been difficult from the start, and doctors warned that complications were possible. Rowan dismissed it all. He signed the divorce papers, disappeared from her life, and eventually reinvented himself as a successful entrepreneur after a business investment unexpectedly flourished. As his wealth increased, so did his arrogance. Over the years, Rowan occasionally heard rumors about Marisol. Most people said she was struggling. They claimed she worked multiple jobs and barely managed to survive. Those rumors pleased him more than they should have. When Rowan sent her an invitation to his wedding, it wasn't an act of kindness. It was humiliation disguised as generosity. He wanted her to see what she had supposedly lost. He wanted his wealthy friends and future wife to witness the contrast between his glamorous new life and the woman he had left behind. What Rowan didn't know was that life had been writing a very different story. After he abandoned her, Marisol experienced months of fear and uncertainty. The pregnancy became more complicated than anyone expected. Then came a surprise that changed everything. She wasn't carrying one baby. She was carrying triplets. The news terrified her. She had no savings, no support system, and no husband standing beside her. Every obstacle felt impossible. There were nights she cried herself to sleep wondering how she would survive. There were mornings when exhaustion nearly defeated her before the day even began. But every time she considered giving up, she placed her hands over her growing stomach and remembered that 3 little lives depended on her strength. The triplets arrived prematurely but healthy. 2 girls and 1 boy. Marisol devoted every ounce of energy to them. She worked during the day and studied at night. She completed certification programs online while caring for 3 infants. Her life became a cycle of sacrifice, determination, and relentless effort. Years passed. Slowly, opportunities appeared. A local community center hired her to organize educational programs. Her leadership skills stood out. She was promoted repeatedly. Later, she partnered with a nonprofit organization and developed innovative family support initiatives that attracted national attention. Eventually, she launched her own consulting company dedicated to helping struggling parents find resources and opportunities. The business grew beyond anyone's expectations. Not because Marisol chased wealth. Because she genuinely wanted to help people facing the same hardships she once endured. Success arrived quietly, built on integrity rather than ego. Meanwhile, Rowan never bothered to learn any of this. So on the afternoon of his wedding, he stood proudly near the entrance expecting a broken woman to arrive alone. Instead, the limousine door opened. Marisol stepped out first. She wore a simple but elegant cream-colored dress. Her confidence was unmistakable. She wasn't dressed to impress anyone. She simply looked like someone who knew her worth. Then another door opened. 3 children emerged. 2 girls and 1 boy. 9 years old. Perfectly dressed. Perfectly composed. Perfectly unmistakable. The triplets. A wave of confusion swept through the crowd. Rowan's smile disappeared. Guests exchanged shocked glances. Even Cassandra looked stunned. For years, Rowan had hidden the truth about his past. Many guests knew he had been married before, but few knew he had children. And now those children were standing directly in front of him. The resemblance was impossible to ignore. The little boy carried the same eyes Rowan saw every morning in the mirror. The girls shared his smile. Suddenly, the carefully constructed image he had spent years building began to crack. As Marisol walked toward the venue, heads turned not because of her appearance or the limousine. People noticed something far more powerful. Dignity. Grace. Strength. She carried herself like someone who had endured storms and survived every one of them. Whispers spread throughout the gathering. Some guests began learning who she really was. Others discovered what she had accomplished. Several recognized her name from articles highlighting her non-profit partnerships and successful consulting business. The narrative Rowan had hoped to create was collapsing in real time. For the first time in years, he felt small. The wedding ceremony proceeded, but the atmosphere had changed. The spotlight no longer belonged to the bride and groom. It belonged to the woman who had transformed abandonment into purpose. As Rowan watched Marisol sitting beside the triplets, memories flooded back. He remembered the apartment they once shared. The promises he had broken. The fears he had ignored. The family he had abandoned. Wealth had given him comfort, but it had never given him peace. Looking at his children, he realized he had missed birthdays, first steps, school achievements, and countless precious moments that could never be recovered. No amount of money could buy those years back. The realization hit harder than any public embarrassment ever could. By the end of the reception, many guests approached Marisol instead of Rowan. They congratulated her on her achievements and admired her resilience. Yet she remained humble. She never criticized Rowan. She never sought revenge. She never attempted to humiliate him. Her silence spoke louder than any accusation. Because true success doesn't need to announce itself. It simply shines. As the afternoon sun began to set, Marisol gathered the triplets and prepared to leave. The children laughed together as they walked toward the limousine. For the first time, Rowan truly saw what he had thrown away. Not a marriage. Not a relationship. A family. A future. A chance to become the man he should have been. Before we reach the ending, I have a special request for everyone watching today. Comment below, kindness always wins, if you believe character matters more than wealth. As the limousine disappeared down the road, Rowan remained standing in silence. The celebration around him continued, but inside, he faced a truth that could no longer be ignored. The woman he had invited to shame had become the strongest person in the entire room. And the children he never wanted had become the greatest blessing he never deserved. Marisol's journey proved that being abandoned does not mean being defeated. Sometimes life's deepest wounds become the foundation for its greatest victories. Sometimes the people others underestimate become the very people who inspire the world. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your engagement helps these powerful stories reach more people who may need hope, encouragement, and a reminder that perseverance always has the final word. Because in the end, Marisol didn't arrive at that wedding to prove Rowan wrong. She arrived to prove that no matter how painful the past may be, courage, love, and determination can create a future more beautiful than anyone ever imagined.